Hello, friends! Do you love to travel and learn about new places and things? Great! Then you are in the right place. Join Jasmine the cat and Gracie the tortoise as they have fun exploring the USA, the world, and beyond.
Hello, friends! It's Jasmine, the jazzy gray cat, here with my bestie Gracie, the super smart tortoise. Say hi, Gracie.
Greetings, my good friends. Gracie here. I'm so glad you joined us today as we explore ancient Egypt.
Gracie, I thought the Egyptian myths were so fascinating. I can't wait to learn more about the people who created them. All I really know is that they built ginormous pyramids.
Well, Jasmine, they did, and that's what most people think about. But those pyramids are just the beginning. Egypt started out as two countries, Upper and Lower Egypt. Then a king called a pharaoh joined them together to make one country. Now, let's go back 5,000 years ago to ancient Egypt. You would sail down the Nile River on a wooden barge. You could watch a pyramid being built using stone blocks that weigh up to 2.5 tons. This civilization lasted 3,000 years and created art, buildings, and knowledge that still amaze us today.
Like those pyramids. But most people in ancient Egypt were farmers. They lived in mud brick houses near the Nile. The farmers lived near the Nile River because when the river flooded every year, it made the soil nearby super rich and great for planting. The farmers first grew wheat, barley, lettuce, flax, and papyrus. Later, they grew apricots, olives, and beans.
While the farmland was flooded by the river, the farmers often worked building the pyramids and other monuments. Other jobs that were popular were being scribes. That's people who wrote things down, priests and doctors. Women could also have jobs, or if they wanted to, women could have their own businesses. They could even own their own home, which was a very unusual idea for the time.
Go girls! This is a super fun fact. Bakers sometimes kneaded the bread dough with their feet. I just hope their feet were clean. But you know what? The people didn't work all the time. They also had lots of fun. They would go swimming and canoeing on the Nile, play board games, make music, and go dancing. They also loved their children a lot. Parents taught them to be honest and kind and respectful. Sometimes the kids even helped out with the family business and took care of their grandparents.
Ancient Egyptians were very smart. Astronomers made a calendar using the rotation of the sun and had 365 days.
Just like ours. They were also super smart in math. They made up multiplication and division. I like multiplication best. I have all my times tables memorized. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. What do you think, Gracie?
I love your math knowledge, Jasmine.
I guess they needed all this math so they could figure out how to build the pyramids.
This is a great time to talk about Hypatia, maybe the first woman to study and teach math, astronomy, and philosophy. She was interested in math because her father was a mathematician and a philosopher. Philosophers are people who just love learning. She helped him write textbooks and was a great teacher because she was able to take a very hard idea and break it down into smaller parts that were easier to understand. She showed people that girls were just as smart as boys.
Egyptians were smart in other school stuff too. They were one of the first people to have a written language. Before people wrote things down, info was only passed around by telling stories.
That's right. Egyptians wrote using picture writing called hieroglyphics. Instead of letters, symbols represented words or sounds. They even invented paper by using that papyrus plant. We see hieroglyphics carved into temples and tombs. They tell us important information like names and dates, describe battles, and tell you how to get to the afterlife.
Okay, but enough about people. On to cats. Cats were super special, of course. They were believed to bring good luck and even have magical powers. They had a sweet name for their cats, calling them Mew. I wonder why.
I can't imagine.
How about you, friends? What do you think? Cats wore jewels and were given special treats to eat. When they died, their owners mummified them and would shave off their own eyebrows to show how sad they were. And having real cats around wasn't enough for the Egyptians. They made beautiful paintings and statues of them. Cats were even gods. The goddess Bastet had the power to turn herself into a cat. She had a beautiful temple. I just know I'm descended from these royal cats.
I have no doubt about that, Jasmine. Now let's talk about death. Because ancient Egypt has been shown as a dark and creepy place in many movies, people often think that they only thought about dying. Not so. People loved life. In temples, there was a house of books where books were kept and used for learning. Think of it as a library. Another place, the House of Life, was where information was created and written down. The ancient Egyptians developed the science of dreams, spells, magic, and science that was very advanced for the time.
That's right, Gracie. And as a matter of fact, Egyptians thought the afterlife would be just as great as regular life, except without all that sad stuff, like getting hurt or sick, or fighting with people, or yucky bugs. Even your pets could be there.
That's why we found the pyramids full of things that a person would need in the afterlife, like food, money, books, even underwear. And this is why they made mummies. The Egyptians believed that the spirit needed a body, so they mummified the bodies so the spirit would have a place to live in the afterlife.
Remember, some of the gods would help you get to the afterlife, like Anubis. He had the head of a jackal, and he helped people find their way to the underworld. Once you got there, the god Osiris would judge you on how you behaved when you were alive. So it was a good idea to always try your best.
No matter when you live, Jasmine, you should always try to be your best self. Now, shall we finish up with the pharaohs, or those rulers of ancient Egypt? Most of the time, the pharaohs were male.
Like King Tut. He became a ruler when he was only 9 years old. But unfortunately, he was only king until he was 18. We visited his tomb when we were in Egypt. You can catch that episode on our Egypt podcast, too.
That's right. Now, there were some female pharaohs. One of them was Hatshepsut. She was very powerful. Hatshepsut was married to Thutmose II. When he died, his son Thutmose III became pharaoh, even though he was just 3 years old. Now, no one can rule a country at the age of 3, so Hatshepsut ruled for him. When Thutmose III was 8 years old, they ruled Egypt together for the next 22 years. Hatshepsut is thought to be one of Egypt's best pharaohs. She brought great wealth and art to Egypt. The funny thing is, Hatshepsut has always been drawn as a man, with a beard and muscles.
Oh, Gracie, that is so funny. A long time later, 1,400 years, another great woman pharaoh ruled. This was Cleopatra, Egypt's last pharaoh. Women still couldn't rule by themselves, so she ruled with her brother, Ptolemy XIII. She was very smart too and is remembered for being a strong leader. Wow, ancient Egypt was sure exciting. I'm ready for more mummy jokes. Gracie, what's a mummy's favorite food?
Rice?
No, wraps. Your turn.
Why are mummies great spies?
Because they keep things under wraps. Hey, Gracie! Both our riddles had the same answer, wraps. Totally cool. My favorite fact was that girls could be pharaohs, even if they couldn't rule by themselves. How about you, Gracie?
My favorite fact was that Egyptians invented picture writing called hieroglyphics. How about you, friends? Don't forget to tell someone you love.
That's right. And come back next week as we explore ancient Greece. You can always listen to our podcast on Greek myths before. Bye now. Say goodbye, Gracie.
Goodbye, my dear friends. See you next time.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining Jasmine and Gracie on their adventure today. Come back next week for the next one.
Hello everybody, it's Gwen here. If you want to know more about the places we visited, just go to our website, jasmineandgracie.podbean.com, and go to the sources page and you can find out all about the great places that we visited. See you next week. Bye-bye.